Welcome to 5D Tea Time, episode 10. I am your co-host. Yeah, two fistfuls. I'm your co-host, Kristen with.
Lindsay Love.
Yeah. And so today, some of these prep sessions or prep conversations feel like a little bit like therapy conversations, like they did today for me. We kind of hash it out. It's like, what's going on in your life? Well, what's going on in your life, and how are we managing it? What are we doing about it? And we kind of both felt like we're in a little bit of a storm, little debris storm, to say it nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, read her lips, rewind, read her lips. So yes, so what we distilled it down to is, what is the truth? What is truth? How do we find the truth? And big question, Linz. Can I pass the ball over there to you? Loving.
Hey, good to start it off today.
What is truth?
Absolutely. No, I love this question. I think for me personally, majority of my life is about truth and freedom. I think those are two really important adjectives that can describe myself, truth and freedom. So this is near and dear to my heart, this question. And oh man, we live in a world with a lot of just illusion, a lot of confusion, and it's challenging to navigate these waters because we are exposed continuously to scenarios, situations, advertisements, videos that anything really technologically generated or AI generated that is really hard to discern if it is truth or non-truth. And even the people who feel like they're most tapped into their intuition, or they're really great at discerning the truth with someone face to face, or getting a feeling, you kind of feel when you're face to face with someone like, ooh, this is a good situation, this is a bad situation, they're being honest, they're lying. You can kind of feel that deep down when you're face to face with someone. But in this day and age, when so many people or situations are behind a camera and we're viewing them through a screen, it's really hard to discern what the truth actually is. And what is also odd about this is I and this I'm speaking from personal experience. Like I do watch videos on YouTube a bit. I've really shied away from it. After the pandemic in particular, I watched a lot of videos on YouTube. And these people that I originally were listening to, that I was really into, that I thought, ooh, they're speaking truth. That really resonates. That I intuitively feel that's the truth. As time went by, my feelings kind of changed about not all of them, but some of them. And I started to second guess what was actually truth and what wasn't truth. So I don't know, Kristen, if you can piggyback on this or relate to this at all. I'm just going to finish up really quick, but I found it harder and harder as time goes by to really discern what I'm viewing on a screen, whether it is truth or not. I still feel in-person interactions and reality face to face is really the only thing that feels real and legitimate, and that I can really trust my intuition on. That feels like, yes, that person is speaking truth. That is reality coming for, or that is truth coming from their lips. Whereas, from a screen, although I thought I had that dialed in, I struggle with that. I struggle with it.
Yeah. I mean, just to kind of tag on to the heels of what you were saying about things being resonant for a time and then that changes. It's like, is the person changing or are we changing? Maybe both. Yeah, I definitely feel that too. I just resonate with what you're saying because, even music, music that once like brought me an elevation or some sort of psychological like direction or empowerment, it's like at now it feels dissonant, like those tones, those vibrations, those beats don't resonate with, the way I've changed now. Now it's, like, very minimalistic sounds,
Except for Christmas music, right?
except for Lindsay and I,
Sorry, we have an inside joke.
we
Go
have,
ahead.
we have a love for Christmas music. We really do.
Mhm.
It's like Christmas all year round for us. Um, it's true. So yeah, this is like really an interesting point. I mean, things can resonate to support us in a certain moment, and a big piece too is like, what is that deliverer of the message, whether it's song or video, teachings, whatever, opinions, what are they tapped into? Like what's their connection? And sometimes when people are really tapping into something, maybe like the original channel, in this higher realm that they're like streaming the ideas and their inspirations and their visions and bringing those into form. At one point, they might have clicked into something kind of universal and aligned. Yeah,
Mm.
when people really start to tap into a higher level, there is, you know, entities, that do start to attach into that because it's like, ooh, it's like a powerful light. So these
Mhm.
things, these energies that feed on light. So if that person isn't like aware of entity attachments too, they can start channeling in some of these just like little blippy distortion things that come in. And so, as someone who is, psychically connected, which I do feel we all are. And the more we become that way, the more we have to be sure that we are completely clean and clear and aligned with source, with the 0 point, with that just clean source primary energy. As we can start to really be, influenced and tapping into that. So you might be like feeling that a little bit too, because
Mhm.
you're on the path of alignment. You're on the path. It's a pretty pure, it's a purity path, really, of like just direct, loving soul connection with God. And so if there's some funky debris coming in there, it's kind of like, something's off. I mean, I've even worked with teachers directly in this way. It's like, whoa, okay, what are they starting to channel here?
Mhm.
So, what's that? I don't know if it's Dante or what that saying exactly is, but it's like if you look into the abyss long enough, you become it, you know. It's like if you're looking at the shadow world, long enough, yeah, it becomes you, you become it. There's a relationship there. So there is I don't know, that is what was coming to mind as you were speaking to it. So yeah, I mean, what are your tools of like, I mean, you kind of you have a strong like instinct and like inner radar of,
Mhm.
you know, what vibes and what's like off for you, what's resonant, what's aligned, and what's off. Like how do you discern, or like how have you developed that inner meter, that inner, yeah, sense about you? Or what do you do to check in with that? Or
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. As do you have this very strong inner radar and discernment, which I love about you. Um, I think for me, it's something that I've worked my whole life to develop. because it was incredibly important to me. So again, moving back to childhood, I think as when we're children, we are not we aren't as impeded by belief systems and just different things that as we grow in age, we tend to pick up and take on in our lives. So we have that more pure connected thought, and we have more of a ability to tap into our, say, psychic gifts or our strong intuition, or our radar within us that can really discern. You'll see children sometimes, like, they can feel if someone's vibe's off, and they'll kind of back away or shy away or stay away. I've witnessed it many times. So I think that that's for me, it's always been an important something to develop in my life, and I've worked really hard on it via meditation, I've done a lot of trainings at a clairvoyance center, which is basically a lot of meditation, but lots of tools to learn to access this gift of discernment, really. And so it's really served me well, especially traveling all over the world and doing a lot of things on my own independently. A lot of people had asked me, is that scary? And for me, yeah, there's fear there, but having that tool of discernment has really, really served me well and kept me safe in those scenarios. So I've really learned to trust it over time. And what I've recognized is when I do listen and I do trust it and I get a good outcome, it makes me trust in it even more. So the more I acknowledge it, the more I trust it, the more I develop and build it, because I trust those hints, within me. So how does that then relate to, to this day and age? And I find it more and more challenging with videos to discern, but I definitely get a feeling. And I think you're right that maybe, videos over time, I'm just speaking of YouTube videos as an example, like maybe initially the information that I was taking in was really resonant with what I was needing at that time. And then as time went by, maybe it was the other person, and yes, like entities coming in and them shifting. And sometimes when people shift more into like the ego mode when they're teaching, I get a little like turned off with that as well. So it could be a shift with them, it could be a shift with me and what I'm resonating with, or it simultaneously could be both of us. So what I've learned to do is just trust my feeling system, my inner guidance system, So when it feels right and the information feels really good, then yes, I'm going with that. And when it no longer resonates, it doesn't really matter the reason why. Ultimately, whether it's me or it's them or other entities being channeled or whatever the reason, it doesn't really matter anymore why. It just matters that I don't want to take in information that isn't aligning with what my truth is. And so,
Can I ask you, what does yes feel like?
oh, it feels like hell yeah. No, it feels really great. It's like, yes, this information is hitting me here, and it feels good in my body.
Feels good.
Maybe it's not always bringing like joy and I'm leaping for hell yes, but it feels like truth. It's like, yeah, that's solid. That's it. And when it doesn't resonate, it is like, ooh, what is this? This does not feel right to me at all. It's like almost like a yuck, like an icky feeling in a way. And yeah, so that's what about you? What does yes feel like to you? And no, or what, like in general? I'm just curious, like, how do you discern, and what's this process like for you?
Wow, well, to get like a strong yes, for me, it's so rare actually to be like, yes, 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 all the way through, like full body. Like it's happened twice and they've been huge gifts to just feel the power of yes. so strongly, ringing like a bell. And it was almost like, yeah, just an energy, it's an energy surge, a real energy surge. When I get yeses, like just like intuitive sparks, yes, a lot of times I'll get goosebumps, or sometimes my eyes water. Or I'll get kind of like this fluttering in my heart. It's almost like I can feel my energy channel just like boom, like a little kundalini surge, we call it, but it's like, yeah, an energy surge, like ooh, energy awakening, like I turn on, the system turns on. Sometimes it's goosebumps and tears too. Yeah.
Amazing.
Nose feel if I'm being invited into something, I feel confused, I feel contracted, I feel tense and rigid, and yeah, like things are not quite aligned, and sometimes, if they're like invitations that are great and sound great, some of those contractions could be my own like limitations too. So it's tricky, it's tricky if it's like an invitation for something beautiful and wonderful. There might be like a bit of a process to go through to kind of help find clarity for a yes or a no. Sometimes those initial contractions, the invitation is a positive one, is like something for opportunity. There might be a little bit of a process to really like be able to discern like if it's a yes or if it's a no. Sometimes it's even a little bit hard, to discern. Like, is it a timing thing that it's a no? But when it's yes, 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 it rings like a bell and your body lights up and you're like already being pulled towards it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's and like you're being pulled towards it, and there's like energy being pushed behind you toward, like you're already there.
There's no hesitation. Yeah, there's no hesitation.
hesitation.
There's no questioning. There's no second guessing. Yeah.
And like what a gift those moments are to just feel. And there's 2 times I'd love to hear about, times where you've gotten your yeses. 2 times where it was just yes, yes, yes. And one was to go on a trip to Israel, which was the biggest awakening I've had in my life, the Jordan and Israel trip. And then signing up for the current 3.5-year training I'm in now. It was just like, boom, yes, timing aligned. Don't even need to process it. Don't need to talk about it. Like I'm here. I'm ready. So those were like 2 huge yeses for me. We're just like so opening. And so they've both been on like yeses, and they both yeses have bumped up my spiritual progress and my like connection to higher timelines for my life. Some vibrational lifting and elevating. So I'm curious, have you had any, because I mean I've had like 2 in my life that have been like yes. Have you had any yeses that have rang like a bell, or anything else? Like, yeah, how do you, have you felt that? Or maybe no, like a strong no, because no is powerful too. Like no.
I just realized, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just realized I forgot to plug in my computer and it's going to die. So
Plug it in.
will you please keep talking? And I'm just going to plug it in really quick. And
Okay,
then I will tell you
commercial
about
break.
the hell yeses in my life. I'm so sorry.
Commercial break. So today I'm drinking out of a mug, and it says, "What a long, strange trip it's been." And how true. My mom got Lindsay and I this mug for Christmas one year. Hers says something else, but
okay, crisis averted. Oh yeah, excuse me while I kiss the sky is mine.
Nice.
The fabulous Lori Becker.
Oh yes. Yeah, Jimi Hendrix and Jerry Garcia. They were tempted.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. Oopsie. Hell yeses. Okay. Whew. Mine,
Heaven, yes. Heaven, yeses.
heaven, yes. Heaven, yes. I like that. I'm shifting now. Changed. Sorted in the brain. Mine have probably been traveling and spiritual experiences. Yeah, I would say when I moved to Indonesia, that was a heaven yes for sure. When I moved to Hawaii as well, that was a heaven yes. And of course that's where I found the clairvoyance center, and that was like a triple heaven yes. So I think, and then in Indonesia, I had a lot of spiritual development there as well. Those have probably been two of my biggest places I've lived where there's been an escalated like spiritual development that's happening in my life. And yeah, so those are two really big ones. There's been others for sure, but I think those are the two that stand out the most.
Yeah, and interesting because for us, it's like those resounding yeses
Mhm.
are the alignment with our spiritual path, with our spiritual development, with us like really becoming our true selves, our higher selves. Like, um, there's yeses and nos in this world, like, do I want a pink lady apple or a,
Or a Fuji.
or
Or
yeah,
a
or a
Honeycrisp.
Honeycrisp. Yeah, I mean, there's like yeses and nos, in this realm, but we're talking about like the big, like resounding yeses. But it is interesting even to bring it into, I mean, this is more like following intuition, but it's like, what is, when you go into like the produce section, and just like playing with the vegetables and the fruits, not the processed foods, all the packaged stuff, like, because that might be cravings, like sugar cravings. But no, in the produce section, it's like, what is your body like attracted to? What is it saying yes to? And like give it that. Practice with fruits and vegetables, and practice that like vibrational match of like saying yes to small things that give you life, that increase your vitality, that increase your wellness and your energy bank, that like, investing in your energy bank, and that grow your bank, that create abundance in the field. And yeah, and yeah, practice with food first, practice, even with, like Lindsay was saying, on YouTube, not just doing things out of habituation, like, oh, I always watch this person, so I should just watch the whole thing, even if I'm not really resonating. Oh, like turn it off and see if maybe like something else
Upset.
is more in resonance. There's a lot of different just beautiful orators on YouTube, reading, sacred manuscripts, and just, if you're into that, I mean, that's what I really gravitate towards, the mysticism of this life, kind of bridging the visible with the invisible world, and the path of the mystic. So there's just incredible volumes of teachings, that are audio. A lot of times I feel like visual for me is where truth gets a little bit distorted. Like whenever things are, I'm listening to things more audio, I can hear clear audience, is maybe becoming a little bit more of a refined, clear essence of mine. Like truth can be kind of like heard through the vibration of the voice. If the voice is like, even if the content of what they're saying, but the voice is somehow off, it can be like, okay, maybe that's not, a healthy link energetically for me right now. Anyway, that's just a thought. And I've even thought about like on our YouTube channel, just doing like beautiful visuals with our voice at some point, to get the visual off so it could just be like audio transmissions. And maybe we'll graduate into that eventually. I mean, we're just starting this, but yeah. Yeah. I don't know how you feel about that. But the visual world can be very, yeah,
Distracting,
distracting.
confusing,
Yeah.
all of the above.
Yeah, because it's a magic show. You know,
Ah,
there's a lot of
exactly.
little things like being like played out in front of our eyes that we can't see. We're so easily deceived.
Mhm.
I mean, even like magic tricks, I'm always like, whoa, how do you do that? I'm like, I'm so, I'm so
Yeah, yeah.
easily tricked, like card tricks. I'm like, wow, I mean, there's some good magicians, but a lot of this is like a big magic trick out there, you
Mm.
know? So, really attuning to you know, the inner central channel and like discerning what's truth and what's not. And ultimately there's only the truth, the one truth, and if we're not plugged into that, everything else are like bumbling distortions. Like everything I was saying before we hit play today, it was bumbling distortions, I was like, because I what did I say? I hadn't done my Kriya yet today. I hadn't like attuned my system. So it's like there's like these little like misalignments, and the truth is really just the unity consciousness of love and light. And even that, me saying it isn't the truth because I'm only pointing to it. It can only be experienced. Like even the words themselves can be, right? We can only, I love that in Taoism. Like as soon as you like say it, it's not that. If you're
Mhm.
looking at the one that's saying it can only be experienced directly from within, So in a sense, it's all, we're just trying to align us and point us in the in the correct direction of like direct experience to the primary truth. But even the pointing
So
itself is a separation.
if there's a primary truth, which I agree with you on that point, but I'm just bringing this up for conversational purposes.
Mhm.
Um, is it true that there are an infinite amount of ways to access that primary truth?
Mhm. Yeah.
So would it then be true that we're all seeking primary truth, but we're living our own truths in order to access that primary truth?
I would say that. Yes, I would say, all 8 billion of us on the planet have our own paths to truth, right? Like it's like we're
Yes.
each stargates, we're each direct portals to that. So, I mean, yes.
So
Um,
your truth doesn't look like my truth, although our truths are, they like
One,
our paths to
because the sources,
accessing truth
yeah.
are somewhat relatable and similar. They're not exactly the same by any means.
Right.
Um, but yes, so it's just very interesting how many different realities people can be living, accessing their very own truths in order to get to that ultimate truth. And so, if you look at religion, ultimately they're all teaching a similar ultimate truth, right? And then a path to kind of access that, some very different than others, but the underlying truth, it all feels very similar and the same. So yeah, we're all unique in our truths and what will resonate with us during certain times in our lives or moments in our lives. And the thing I want to come back to that you were saying earlier about going to the market and just accessing your yes point for what vegetables and fruits you want to eat that day or what you're resonating with that day. And that's a beautiful way in order to build this tool within you of discernment and the yes, basically, the heaven yes. And, as working your way up through fruits and vegetables, then it's like utilizing it for small decisions, or like you said with YouTube, but then we move to small decisions or people we're spending time with, and all of these things. And we become way more discerning and way more intentional with our energy and where we want to place it.
Yeah.
And so then we become even stronger in our truths and, kind of black out cut out all the white noise, the excess. And we really become aligned to our truth, our inner knowing, our discernment, and ultimately to who we are. And I think that's the path to really towards knowing oneself. And we're always learning and evolving and growing and developing. So we don't fully always know ourselves, I guess. I don't know if we ever get to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, I completely know myself. I tend to surprise myself even now. But I think that that's the path of like really just trusting what's a yes, what's a no, what's my truth, what's my reality.
Yeah. And when we say my truth, it's tricky because like, there's so many layers to ourselves. I mean, there's one truth ultimately, and we're all 8 billion of us connecting with our own personal paths to the one. There's really only one truth. I don't know if there can be like really 8 billion truths, like maybe micro, like fractional, but there's a lot of distortion in it too. Because like we just said, like we resonate with one thing at one point, and then it changes, and we're like in such a state of like constant change and evolution that even like our personal truth, when it's like linked in with our concepts about reality, or like that work in progress of like the ego dissolving and us becoming like our true selves, ultimately plugged in with that singular, like that primary truth. I mean, if our truth is always love and always light, and that's the anchor point, then it's real. If it's not that, if it's not anchoring in that, there's something fallible about it, or something it doesn't have a strong foundation. There's something like
That's like distorted a bit.
Yeah. So if it is, so just wanted to kind of clarify that there's a lot of paths to access the ultimate primary truth, yet that reigns supreme. So I think there's a lot of paths to truth, but maybe not a lot of truths, only fractions of truth. only fractions of it.
Is it fair to say then
I love when you
those distortions and those challenges and those blips in the foundation are actually necessary? Maybe not necessary, that's not the right word, but important part of the journey of accessing the truth.
Well, I mean, it's all, our lives, when we really embrace the content of our lives and all the trials and tribulations and all of it. I mean, what is that? I mean, it's love. There's nothing outside of truth either. Truth, God, it's like when we really lovingly embrace that and even atone for it. It's like, wow, how wild that I put myself before this, and I thought I knew. Right? I thought I knew, like, truth blasts the mind to, like thoughts are like powerless, like in truth, like truth is a power presence of love and like embracing. So yes, necessary for the humility of the atonement.
Yeah. And I think the complete understanding in a way.
Yeah,
Um,
the understanding, yeah, totally.
yeah, the complete seeing, yeah, to be able to see very clearly.
To have the knowledge, yeah, to like know both sides and all
Correct.
sides. And
Mhm.
definitely, I think that's a huge part of this journey. Huge, what you just said. Yeah, definitely.
So, kind of like in closing, not kind of like, but in closing, what, what's your best, I don't know, what's your best, something you can give or something you can offer to someone who's trying to discern truth, that's really struggling to discern truth, not only in person, but via, anything they're doing in life, especially when it comes to interactions with screens and videos and things that aren't actually happening in front of their face in person. What's a nugget of support that you can offer?
Okay, I feel like I can be such an extremist sometimes, or like I'm like,
Girl, you
oh
go.
my,
You do you. You just do you unapologetically. Let's do this.
I'm like detox all your apps off your phone. Get your apps off your phone, all social media.
You're like, just don't
Done.
watch it. Then you won't
So
have
much
to discern.
done.
I
Done.
love that.
At
That's
least on the phone. Get it off the phone. So because this thing is like invades everything. If you got it on your computer, then you kind of sit and maybe even take notes because the transmission's so beautiful, or it's content that you actually. But yeah, this phone is
Mhm.
I would do some social media detox. Take time.
Detox.
Get your life back. Get your time back.
Back. Get your energy back.
Get your energy back. Get your like headspace back.
Self-love.
Quiet space for
Mhm.
just imaginative thinking. For your imagination, your creativity, your own thoughts to just kind of populate your field rather than the social media populating your field. It's like, whew, it's like let it flow. The creative process. Yeah, I would social media detox. That would be like an ASAP. But it's,
Would be like
maybe
a face
at
up.
least starting the process. It might be a gradual process because
Of
you're like,
course, yeah.
but starting that process. I started that process a couple years ago, and I mean, just a couple days ago, I finally deleted Telegram. Like none of it, because I so want to focus my time and energy now. I know what I want because I've been able to like have the space to feel the creative movements that want my time. It's like, oh, now
Mm,
I create, and that's all I want to spend my time doing.
yep.
So yeah, that's a huge one for me. How about for you? What would be your nugget of, yeah.
The emotional guidance system.
Mhm.
So I think that's like a square one to really feel it for me anyway, kind of like a very foundational piece of, does it feel good or does it feel bad? If it feels bad in your body, if you're emotionally like reacting to it, doesn't feel good, turn it off, you know, don't buy it.
Mhm.
So that for me, and if it feels great, then do it. And of course, we all end up in situations where things don't necessarily feel good sometimes, but in general, even like you were saying before, with small decisions, start with small decisions, but bring awareness to the emotional guidance system. Like, how does it feel overall? How does it feel in your body? Do you feel sluggish? Do you feel tired? Do you feel rickety? Do you feel tight? Do you feel constricted? Do you feel like you're glazed over and overwhelmed and energetically exhausted after whatever decision it was or whatever interaction it was? Or do you feel the opposite? Do you feel uplifted? Do you feel energetic? Do you feel excited? Do you feel passionate? Um, but recognizing where the emotional guidance system is or what it's trying to tell you, because our emotions, that's a beautiful part about being human, right? We have these emotions and sometimes they're so overwhelming. Oh my God. But, and in both ways, I mean, they can be so overwhelmingly good and so overwhelmingly intense and kind of, you know, not negative, but like take you down, and all of those things. So, yeah, really, really tapping in, tuning in to this emotional guidance system and recognizing what it's trying to tell you.
Mhm. So powerful, so good. And yeah, just underline, exclamation mark, highlight. Yes, the emotional guidance system, just really feeling, yeah, feeling into things and trusting that. And, you know, with small decisions, taking action then on those feelings, um, is important to follow through and to really build that relationship that you're talking about. And say yes to, you know, yeah, your personal development. Yeah, personal development, but really putting yourself in situations that are going to nurture and support this kind of growth with your intrinsic, like natural soul self.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's huge. And we're offering in mid-July, the Temple of Light course.
Yes.
Yeah, July 19th to the 25th. It's an online retreat. And so more will be coming with that in future videos. But yeah, things like this, you know, that I've said yes to so many times, you said yes to so many times at the Clairvoyance Center and just all these. And yeah, now we're recreating
Yeah.
a space for people to come and feel that connection and tune that up and strengthen it. And yeah, so these
Yeah.
things.
Yes. More info to come on that. But if it's a yes for you, we would love, love, love to have you.
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely. So I love this conversation. So happy we went with this and just followed our kind of, yeah, the strongest yes for us. Because sometimes there's multiple yeses. Like, oh, we could do this, we could do this. It's like, what's the strongest? Like, go with that. And that's where the most momentum is. So
I
yeah.
love that. And that's a good thing to close on as well, is sometimes there's multiple yeses. So really discerning which one is like the strongest.
Yeah.
And sometimes that takes a bit of a process to figure that out, but it's really huge. So being able to discern which one is the heaven yes.
Heaven, yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for another fun conversation that elevated me, you know, just talking about it and aligning with, yeah, with these words and yeah, what truth is for us. Such a powerful topic. Thank you.
Yay, thank you, Kristen. Oh my gosh, I feel the same. I just came in with a certain energy and felt pretty good, but this like elevated it so much more. And it helps me clarify within myself, you know, when making decisions. It's just a good reminder to talk about all this stuff as well, and to really continue to build that ability to discern and decipher truth and what is truth for you. So
Yeah. So important. Okay, see you all next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
bye. Thank you.